I'm Brian Malow, coming to you live from the 71st annual Lindau Nobel Laureate Meeting, where 600 young scientists are mixing it up with 30 Nobel laureates. And I am speaking to one of the young attendees right now. Joining me is Dr. Frida Michailidou, and she's from ETH Zurich. Let me get this right. You're in a couple different, you're a junior research fellow at the Collegium Helveticum at ETH and the Laboratory of Toxicology over there.
Perfect. Yeah. Hi,
Excellent.
Brian.
So thank you so much for joining me, and thanks. Nice to meet you. So,
Nice to meet you too.
Frida, so what does this mean that you're a junior research fellow? You already did your PhD and it's postdoc territory and beyond?
Yeah. So I did my PhD in Scotland in St Andrews with a bit of an industrial collaboration with GlaxoSmithKline. And then I had the opportunity to join ETH. I got the Marie Curie grant. And then recently I was funded by the Collegium Helveticum to realize this new project, which is a passion of mine there, in this Institute of Interdisciplinary Studies.
Well, why don't you
So
tell me
that's,
about it? I don't
yeah,
know. I
cool.
guess you work in toxicology, and are you a
Yeah.
chemist or do you sort of identify as something else?
No, I think I am a chemist at heart and a chemist at the core. So my bachelor's degree and master's degree was in chemistry and catalysis. So I'm trained as originally as an organic chemist, but soon in my PhD and afterwards, I realized the power of enzymes. I fell in love with enzymology. So now I'm using enzymes as my catalyst, as the power to catalyze reactions and do really cool stuff. And one of the application of enzymology of this catalyst is to the synthesis of fragrance compounds, which allows you to make these compounds for fragrances, for fragrance chemistry, in a much more environmentally friendly way. And then in parallel in this project, I'm also using green toxicology, so uh, green toxicological methods to assess the safety of these chemicals, of these fragrance ingredients. And because I really want to engage with society, I collaborate also with a consumer behavior group, also at ETH, to assess how the public perceives these technologies and also identify barriers and also ways to make these technologies more palatable for the benefit of society.
Yeah, tell me. I see you're
So,
scooting out of the shot there.
sorry about that.
Yeah. If you could move over just a little, and so you
Yeah,
can you tell me the big picture about what this? You may have to move. I don't know. Is it to your right or to your left? Nope, the other way.
probably here. Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry about that.
Um, so I'm a non-scientist. Can you tell me the
Yeah.
implications and applications of this area of research? What's the point
Yeah.
of it on that level?
Yeah. So at the moment, basically, we use materials, we use chemicals for many applications. And we really, because we have compelling environmental issues, we need to find ways to make these chemicals more sustainably and also test these chemicals in a more sustainable way. Yeah. Because we need to stop depleting natural resources and we want to really conserve the natural resources and make things as safe as possible both for the environment but also for human health. And there are a lot of opportunities in chemistry, and one of these great opportunities is through using enzymes as catalysts, which are the nature's catalyst for this application. So basically my project is a very good case study of how can you make something so luxurious and as fragrance ingredients that is for some people a form of luxury, but if you see in reality fragrance ingredients are in everything, from shampoos to even scented paper to like other products, even to some shopping malls, like there are fragrance ingredients, signature scents
Food?
used by companies.
Food?
Exactly, food as well. So I just wanted to show how we can use enzymes and also green toxicology to bring these chemicals both their production and their safety assessment in a greener way, both for us and for the environment. So I think it's a good example in that sense as well.
If it's what's the connection between toxicology and
Yeah.
fragrance? Yeah.
Yeah, so fragrances, of course, like every chemical, every mixture that comes to our lives has to be assessed, both for its safety, both for our own safety and the safety of the environment. And there has been a lot of work in toxicology to move towards greener, so more environmentally friendly methods, to go away from animal testing, for example. There's been a lot of work on there, as well as to assess complex molecules, and constantly there is a lot of work on a lot of effort into finding novel and methods for assessing these chemicals. So basically, the toxicology in my project is to assess the specifically the skin's the effects of these chemicals on the skin.
Okay.
Human
Sure.
skin. Yeah.
There could be toxic qualities of any chemicals.
Yeah,
So
the body skin. Yeah.
I always love talking to scientists, and when they get into certain things, like here we are talking about toxic chemicals, but you kind of have a smile on your face. I see that you like what you do. Tell me about that. Did you always know you wanted to be a scientist? And what is it about science that makes you smile and makes you get up every day and do it?
Yeah. So I really love science for many ways. To answer the other part of your question, I was excited by science from a very early age. So I was always very curious. I always loved experimenting and playing around and learning. And this is what keeps me going every day. This is what I love in science. I love that you have this unique opportunity to discover something, to create something. So you have the opportunity to be curious, to be creative. And I think there are very few jobs that allow you to do that. So I started playing with a chemistry set, a toy set, when I was 9. And then I got really hooked on, and I was always really into chemistry. So I was very in love uh, with chemistry from early on. And what I like about science and specific chemistry now, after all these years, is that it's something, especially chemistry, is a is a science that is so central to everything we do experience. So I think it's super important for a lot of aspects, from the environment, for human health. So a lot of things also what drives me, apart from the curiosity and the discovery, is the fact that I feel that we all contribute to society in many ways that can be unprecedented or can be sometimes invisible, but there's a lot of contribution, I believe.
Well, that's built right into the DNA of the Nobel Prize, of course, which is
Yeah,
awarded not just for cool science, but science that's for the benefit of all mankind. So I
yeah,
like that. I've noticed that before, that it's not only the Nobel laureates, but the young scientists that early on in their careers have those sorts of motivations. So that's wonderful. Um, there's a lot of distrust and fear about science and chemistry. For some reason, chemistry, especially, people think, oh, chemicals. And do you have anything to say about that? Any like myths about chemistry and the public misperceptions that you wish were a
yeah,
little different?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. We had actually a very long and very inspiring discussion with the panelists. I'm also Nobel laureates one of these days here at Lindau about exactly this topic that you're talking about. Uh, I think when I talk to people that tell them, they ask what I do, and I say I'm a chemist, and yeah, they're one of their first reactions is, "Oh, I hated chemistry at school." So I feel one of the maybe perhaps my perception that might not reflect the reality, but my perception is that cannot really people tend to be to distrust something they cannot they feel it's beyond their grasp. So I feel a lot of distrust comes from not being able to feel comfortable with the concepts, some concepts that are related to chemistry, and then that leads to misconceptions, to confusion, and that can build distrust. Another problem that I personally see is the misinformation that can be spread through people that are not authorized or even eligible to disseminate such information, and that building upon on the misconceptions that my people have, or the fact that they feel that something is beyond their grasp, that can lead them into an emotional response which is a complete distrust to science. But I feel that destructive both for the individuals and society as a whole. And yeah, I think that's a very important topic that we should do really something to build more trust in science and specifically in chemistry.
Yes, you
Because
mentioned.
this,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, sorry, yeah.
You
So,
mentioned one of the sessions, and it's a really interesting meeting here with all sorts of different
yeah,
opportunities and sessions. And tell me about some of your perceptions of the meeting now that we're a few days into it. Have you been having a good
yeah.
time? Any highlights?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. I feel so honored and grateful that I have this great opportunity. Uh, I don't know what to say. Like a lot of things are the highlight. Basically, being here is the highlight. Um, we had some really cool discussions. One of the highlights for me were the open exchange sessions. So we had some sessions where we would, in smaller groups, be able to interact with Nobel laureates. We also had the opportunity to go for lunches with some of them. And yeah, I was also very inspired by the lecture of Professor Macmillan on his work on organocatalysis, which may be different than my work, but it's relevant in the concept that he does organocatalysis, and a lot of the concepts are similar with biocatalysis, so catalysis with enzymes. So I was really inspired also. Definitely his talk was a highlight, and every talk of every Nobel laureate. Also, the talk by Professor Frida was very animated, and he told us that we should invent the future. And that was a very powerful message for me too. Yeah.
Excellent. Are there any
Yeah.
laureates whose work is relevant to your own that you've followed even previous to the meeting?
Yeah. So of course, yeah, Professor Macmillan. Of course, when I was younger, like when I was doing, as said, a different, especially, I was more into more organic chemistry than enzymology, also Professor Schrock and many others. But perhaps now, most relevant to my work is the a Nobel Prize winner that is not here, Professor Francis Arnold. That's really, she's one of the pioneers of protein engineering, and specifically she works a lot on engineering enzymes. So this is perhaps the most influential Nobel Prize winner to my current work, I would say.
One of
But
our
of course, a lot
recent
of others.
Nobel
Yeah,
Prize winners, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
since you mentioned her, I don't automatically ask this unless I already know that it's an issue you like to talk about the
Mm,
unique situation of being a woman in science.
yeah.
That is a topic of interest to you.
Yeah, it is a big topic of interest to me, and not just being a woman in science, but in the broader scope of diversity and inclusion in science. We had also some very interesting and inspiring discussions about this topic here. And I'm very pleased to see that more and more people at all levels, like from junior scientists to very established scientists and Nobel laureates, are becoming increasingly aware, and they're pushing for more diversity in science. And I feel that the more diverse is our community, the better will it be. And I'm very glad to see that there is a lot of work in the right direction on that. So things are getting much better in my experience than I feel that also makes things more fair, and of course it makes for better science when there are more voices and different experiences and people with different points of view and from different backgrounds.
That's excellent. You know, I
Yeah.
did notice I came in late and I lost the whole context, but missed the whole context.
Yeah.
But one of the laureates was talking about not going to meetings unless there was a 50% representation of
Yes.
male and female presenters. Do you remember who that
Yes.
was?
Yeah, it was Aaron, and he said that, and he said that also in his how's it called? The open exchange. We were around 50 people, 60 were in smaller groups. We could choose which open exchange with which laureate to go to. And yeah, he said that, and I think he has a very good point, because to really get, in my opinion, apart from fairness and inclusion, it's also really important, in my opinion, in science to be open-minded. And you can only achieve this if you allow all the voices to be heard. And I think that everybody brings a unique experience through their own background and their own, yeah, life and scientific opinions and everything. So yeah, and I'm very pleased that he said that, and I'm very pleased to see that people really now are pushing more of this in general. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And have you met some? So, the motto here is educate, inspire, connect. Have you been
Yeah.
connecting with a lot of people here?
Yeah, I've met like really inspiring people, also other junior scientists like from all over the world. It was super cool to the meeting is super international. So I met people from so many different countries and like cultures and also different fields. So there is also diversity in that. I was talking like to someone yesterday that he works with some biological systems. I didn't know that much about them. For something specific I didn't even know it exists, but it really inspired me, and it might actually spark new directions in my own research. It was really cool. Yeah, and also hearing the different life stories and what motivates different people among even the Nobel laureates, but also among young scientists. It just shows you like it really enriches your experience as a human being, as a person, and as a scientist. Yeah, so and it
Excellent.
really helps you connect because you don't some things are universal and not just you that you feel a certain way, or you feel really that you connect to people through just being open, talking to them and exchanging ideas.
And so you
So yeah.
mentioned different cultures. I know that you're from Greece and you're currently
Mm.
working at in Zurich in Switzerland. But you also mentioned that you spent part of your career in Scotland. Um,
Yeah.
we're in a time of such political divisiveness, but science really thrives on international cooperation and collaboration. Um, is that something you found and it's been important in your career, or an issue that you care about?
Yeah, I think it's super important. I think we cannot have science without international collaboration and respect, because the issues we are trying to tackle at the moment to advance humanity, to really advance everything from human health, like we see that in the COVID pandemic, for example. This is not We cannot be isolationist. We cannot just see that, oh, in this country we can solve the topic. No, it's a international problem. It's all over the globe. The same for climate change, the same for pollution, the same for sustainability. Like we have to embrace these concepts and these problems at a global scale, and that requires collaboration and a common language. So I found this is super important. And also, I feel that I've changed to, as you mentioned, Scotland. Then I was in England. I worked in France, in Germany, even in China. And then all these experiences, I felt that they really enriched me. So I think it's important that we are open and we collaborate on an international level. Otherwise, I think science will be losing otherwise. Like we cannot tackle the problems we cannot engage with society, and we cannot solve these very important problems through science if we're not collaborating at an international level. That's my opinion on that.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And thanks for
Yeah.
taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at the meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wrap things up here. And let's take one more parting view of Lindau from my window, because unfortunately I'm quarantining and we have strict COVID protocols here at the meeting. And I also wanted to point out that something you just said, maybe it slipped my mind. You said a lot of good stuff there, about cooperation and collaboration internationally. And that is certainly something that goes on here when the young scientists come from as many as 80 to 100 different countries each year, and
Mm.
come together to celebrate science together and mix it up with the Nobel laureates. So thank you once again, Dr. Frida Michailidou, and I'm Brian Malow signing off from Lindau, Germany, in the 71st Annual Lindau Nobel Laureate Meeting.